What are we doing here?
We're here to show solidarity with the NEU on strike. Teachers have not seen their pay increase. In fact, it's 13% lower than when the Tories first came into power. And I was on a picket line this morning talking to teachers who want to be in the class teaching their children. And it's a very difficult decision, but they know that things can't carry on the way that they are.
It's interesting because the Tories, well, Rishi Sunak's just been at the dispatch box and he said that the teachers have had the biggest pay rise they've ever had. I mean, would you agree with that?
When we talk to teachers in Coventry South, they are often having to make really difficult decisions around heating and eating. They are having to provide extra support for kids in their classroom, bringing food in, using money of their own in terms of stationery and resources within the classroom. Things are really tough for teachers, and it's just not fair to say that they're doing really well. They've had pay increases when inflation is at 11% and is increasing, and we already are seeing research around grocery prices and extra £800 for the average person. We know that teachers and other key workers in the public sector are going to have to make really difficult decisions unless they get a pay increase.
And importantly, a lot of the pay increases that have been allocated to schools aren't fully funded. So in some cases, schools are actually having to find the money themselves for pay increases. I mean, inside the classroom with your constituents, are you still seeing teachers having to provide things like glue sticks and paper, that sort of thing?
They're having to decorate their classrooms themselves in many schools because they just don't have the funding, and that's not the situation schools should be in. We should be able to fully provide within schools. We should be able to give teachers the pay rise that they need. We should be able to invest in SEN education. We should be able to have free school meals for kids, and there is the wealth that we can tax to be able to fund that. We can have all of these things, but it's a matter of priorities, and this government doesn't want to give teachers a pay rise. It doesn't want to provide free school meals. It would rather carry on allowing private schools to be able to have all of this kind of extra resource that other schools don't get through the tax breaks that they benefit from.
I mean, we're actually standing outside Downing Street and Johnny Mercer just walked past and didn't engage in the strikes at all. Would you say that was sort of allegoric of the whole thing?
Well, they are engaging in strikes, but in a very different way. They're trying to undermine strikes and industrial action, making effective strike action virtually illegal. And what they're doing with the public order bill in the laws, but also the minimum service levels bill in Parliament, is a direct attack on our fundamental right to protest. So they might not come and support protests, but they are undermining it every single day. And we already have some of the most restrictive anti-union legislation in the Western world, and things are getting worse. And this is in response to all of this action that we're seeing. Today, 500,000 people out on strike, one of the biggest days of industrial action in recent British history, and it's only going to grow, and that's what this government wants to attack and undermine.
Do you think that the government are reticent to give an inflation-busting pay rise because they think inflation's going to come down?
The causes of inflation in this country aren't to do with giving a pay rise to public sector workers. In fact, we've had wage stagnation for more than a decade, so that hasn't contributed to this record high inflation. It's excessive profits in the system, it's the profits that are being made within the energy sector and also food prices, where people are concerned that actually supermarkets are making a profit. We know energy companies are making a profit. That's what we need to address. It's not public sector workers that are causing this problem. Economists have debunked that, saying that if you give wage increases, that's not what's going to cause inflation because prices don't pass on. If you give teachers a wage increase, suddenly the price of education isn't going to increase. That's how it works in the private sector. All of these things have been debunked, but they're carrying on with the same lies, essentially.
What would your message to striking workers be today?
Full solidarity. We have to keep going because we'll win, and it's about showing solidarity with everyone on strike and not allowing them to pit workers against each other.